Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss horror and movies. So it is Halloween week, hence my mug. It's happy Halloween time and I'm here to talk to you about a movie that I was really excited to see. I saw everybody raving about it. I kept myself spoiler free. I finally watched it today and OMG, it is intense. So obviously I'm here today to talk to you spoiler free about When Evil Lurks.
It's coffee time!
When Evil Lurks is an Argentinian supernatural psychological horror film, and the original title is Cuando acecha la maldad. It was directed by Demian Rugna and it is already currently streaming on Shudder. It did have a small theatrical release, but unfortunately not here in the Netherlands, so I had to wait until it was available on Shudder. When brothers Pedro and Jimmy discover that a demonic infection has been festering in a nearby farmhouse, they attempt to evict the victim from their land. Failing to adhere to the proper rites of exorcism, their reckless actions inadvertently trigger an epidemic of possessions across their rural community. Now they must outrun the evil as it corrupts and mutilates everyone it is exposed to and enlist the aid of a cleaner who holds the only tools that can stop this supernatural plague. First and foremost, the acting in this movie was great. There are many kind of tense scenes where characters are having fights and they just feel so intense and so real, and I have to say that the actors in this film were fantastic. Brothers Pedro and Jimmy discover in a neighbor's farmhouse that there's someone that is afflicted by something known as the rotten, which is basically you are kind of possessed. It's kind of weird to say this is a possession movie because it doesn't feel 100% like it, and I guess that's also something that I like, that it is a possession movie with a potential ritual for exorcism, but it is such a unique take on it. And so when they find that this guy is rotten, which is basically almost someone that is decomposing in their bed, it was quite gross to watch, probably grosser for me than all the gore that we got in the film. And when they see that and they realize that the animals in the farm are also acting weird, they know that something evil is truly lurking. That's mostly the first sign. If the animals are acting weird, the animals know before we humans can sense it. So there are some rules for these people that are supposed to be rotten, and one of the rules that we get to learn very early on in the film is that you are not allowed to shoot them, because if you kill them like that, then the evil is free to possess someone else. One thing that I liked about the characters as well is that we get introduced to a lot of different characters in this town, in the different farms and all of that, and nobody is truly safe. It's really exciting to realize early on that nobody's safe and that there are no rules for who gets to live or die. This evil is absolutely ruthless. Most movies also have limits on which type of characters they kill off and which ones they don't, because, viewer discretion and stuff. This movie knows absolutely no boundaries. I think this movie had amazing, great pacing, and the movie never got boring, not even for a second. But I do have to say that I do prefer the first part of the film, the first half, to the second half. And I think that has to do also with the way they decided to do the climax / ending. I was not so much of a fan of that as from the rest of the film. This movie also has a lot of explaining, so there's a lot of things that are gonna be explained to the viewer as the brothers are investigating all of these horrible things that are happening around them. We get to know what's gonna happen or things that we should do before we see them, and I think that takes away the suspense and the tension because we don't learn things together with the characters or after they happened. We almost know them a little bit beforehand sometimes, and I think that over-explaining, especially before we see things, can backfire a little bit. And backfire in the sense that they could have had so much more like tension and suspense in certain scenes, and that was not there. But we do see our main character struggling throughout the whole film because he's confronted with one horrible scene after the next one. He has like no break and he feels so helpless, and it is quite like jarring to see him going through all of these, trying to figure out how to end this evil. I did like that the story was, for the majority of it, like very straightforward. We have a main story, we are tagging along with the main character, and we are discovering how these rotten work, how this evil work, how to get rid of it potentially. And I like that we're not building in all of these different like side tasks and like side stories from other people in the movie, and building a lot of subplots that we're never gonna resolve like a lot of new movies do. So I love that they had a main idea, a vision, and they just stuck to it. When it comes to the horror, this movie was absolutely brutal. It was vicious, and nobody was safe. And like I said, they push the boundaries, and I'm sure a lot of people are not gonna like the things that this movie dares to do. There are certain taboos in horror nowadays, well, always have been, and this movie is like taboo what? And it's going to shock you. Like, the shock value of this movie is real. The director shows us these extreme acts of horror, portraying an evil that can make humans and creatures act in the most unexpectedly violent way possible. And the possession aspect of the movie does add a little bit of tension because no one can be trusted. The gore in the movie was absolutely excellent. I loved it. It looked amazing, but it's gonna gross out a lot of people. The gore is intense, in your face. You're gonna see like the whole scene. Like, the camera does not shy away from the violence, the brutality of the movie. And I'm pretty sure this is one of those movies that a lot of people are not gonna be able to eat while watching it. So for those of you guys that, you know, don't deal so well with gore, just keep that in mind. I think the movie is gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable because of some of those disgusting scenes and some of the decisions when it comes to which characters are being hurt in the film. But I love that shock value that the movie had because it was unexpected. Like, anybody could get possessed or die at any time in the film, and that is refreshing because the majority of the time you kind of have already expectations on who's gonna go and who's gonna make it because of tropes and cliches. And the majority of the time, you know, people like us that watch horror movies a lot, we can tell. And this movie was unexpected in that regard. Like, all bets were off, and I love to see that. I give this movie a 4 out of 5. That is quite a high rating, and it's for different reasons. I think this movie offered amazing visuals. It had a really strong story, really interesting take on possession. It had great strong acting, and the gore and the violence was just shocking. And it was just not there for shock value. It was still telling a story and how, you know, vicious this evil was that we were fighting against. But yeah, it was very intense and I was absolutely there for it. So if you have access to the movie, I would say give this movie a watch. If you do have certain trigger warnings, please check before going into the film and make your own decision. And also, if you don't like gore at all, then maybe this one is not for you, but I would love for you guys to support this film because I loved it, and I honestly hope to see a lot more by this director. So this was my spoiler-free review of When Evil Lurks. Let me know, guys, down below if you've already watched the film, if you are excited to give it a chance, and yeah, let me know down below what you thought of it. As always, spoiler-free for everybody in the comments, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!